Assignment 3.5. Why 3.5? Well, because I didn't want to go back and rename all the other stupid assignments when I added this one, so it's 3.5. Deal with it. What we're going to do is do a run through of all of the adjustment layers. Why? Well, I think it's important to know what they are. Also, it will make you practice the two things that we were just doing, so clipping masks and adding grain. So we'll do that a whole bunch. By the end of it, you should be super competent with that, which is awesome. And it's also, since we had a critique today, it's a little bit not so much intellectual heavy lifting. So I've given you a bunch of images of heads, statuary heads, not like people heads. I mean, they are people heads, but they're not severed from people, really. And what we're going to do with them is you will basically open it up in Photoshop as a JPEG, so make sure you drag it into Photoshop or open it from Photoshop. Then you will use the geometric lasso tool. I'll show you that in a sec. Copy one, like the top half, paste that top half back in, right? When you paste, it pastes a new layer. So another thing that we're learning. Then with that pasted new layer, we're going to go through, and first one will have adjustment layer number 1, adjustment layer number 2, right? So one adjustment layer will be clipped to that pasted top half. The second adjustment layer will be just underneath it, affecting the one below. And then on top of both of those things, you'll have some grain. Let's take a look at it. All right, I'm going to go here to the Finder. I'm going to grab me Garibaldi head number 1. I'm going to drag it over into my friend Photoshop. There he is. Hello, friend. So lasso, geometric lasso up here at the top. Sorry, polygonal lasso. That's why I say geometric, because polygonal is hard to say. Polygonal? Is that? I feel like that's like having many wives or something. I don't know. Anyway, lasso tool. Click on it. If you can't find it, if you go up here, it's not there. Click and hold until you get it. Not the magnetic one, not the regular one, but polygonal lasso tool. And what it does is it just goes in a straight line. So we can boop. All right. You want to cut your image roughly in half. Do it on a diagonal. Looks kind of cool. Now I'm going to say Command C for copy, Command V for paste, and come back here. I'm going to turn off that background layer. If at some point you are a little concerned about what your thing should look like, I do have there on the website under this week a little sample layer palette of what your layers should be looking like in this. So I'll come back to Photoshop. Okay, so I'll rename those layers. That one is bottom half. This one is top half. And we're just going to go through one by one those adjustment layers. So come down here to the black and white cookie, click it. First one, first adjustment layer is solid color. Cool. All right, so you can play around, figure out what you want these to be. Color picker, awesome. And the top one, right, we're going to indent it, do a clipping mask, hold down Option, click between the two of them, or again, you could go up to Layer and create clipping mask. There we go, right? I could drop the opacity down a little bit if I want to see that dude through it. Then for the bottom half, right, select the bottom half and black and white cookie. Next one down is gradient. And let's see what kind of gradient we've got in here. Let's pick something. That looks kind of cool. Sure, why not? Okay. Scale, linear, angle 90, right? So play around with these things, right? Because you don't know what the heck they do, and maybe one of these days they will be useful to you in some kind of way. All right, there's that. That's cool. Hit OK. I'm also going to make that a little bit transparent so I can see my dude behind it. So the top one is clipped to the top half. The lower one is not, right? Because it's just applying to everything over there. The top half is on top of it, covering up that layer mask action on there. and then make sure that you rename them. All right, very, very important, no matter what they are. Gradient fill, blue, slightly transparent. All right, make sure it says overall at the beginning. Top one is overall, what color is that? Turquoise? Color fill. Try to spell a little bit better than I do. And then on top of all of it, we're going to throw on some grain. So again, remember how we do that? Layer, new layer, call it grain, mode, overlay, fill with overlay neutral color, okay. Select that image, filter, noise, add noise, monochromatic, Gaussian, choose your amount, zoom in, right? So I want to zoom into 100%. That is Command Option 0. Command Option 0. So give yourself setting on there, and there you go. So I've now done the first file. You'll go on now and open up Garibaldi head number 2. Garibaldi head number 2 will get pattern and brightness contrast. Garibaldi head number 3 will get levels and curves. Garibaldi head number 4 will get exposure and vibrance, and on and on and on and on. I think that there maybe it's not the right number, right? So you will not, either one of the Garibaldi heads won't have 2 adjustment layers, or one of the, or we won't use all the Garibaldi heads or something, but make sure that you have all the adjustment layers used. Make sure that you use them in order so that I can keep track, because it's a pain in the butt. Make sure that you have grain on there, and you go grain, clipping, top half, second adjustment layer, bottom half. Also, make sure all your layers are renamed, and that they are renamed in a way that makes sense, right? Overall gradient fill, slightly transparent. Overall turquoise color fill. I'm also going to put on there slightly transparent. If you are adjusting the midtones with a curve, midtones curve up or down, all of these are overall, because they're affecting the entire layer, even if they are clipped. Okay, that is assignment 3. Let me go back here just to make sure I walk through it and don't miss anything. When you save it as layered PSD, resize it. I'm not sure what size they are right now. It may be... right now they are 2143 by 3000. So yeah, so you'll resample and change it so that the long one is 2400. Won't be that big of a shift. You should still be able to see the grain. If you're worried about that, you can do the resizing before you add the grain, and that would be intelligent as well. So do that. Right, making sure they're WRGB 1998. When you convert the color space, do not flatten your layers. Be very careful excuse me, about that. Remember, when we go to do it, edit, there we go, convert to profile, you need to make 110% certain that this box right here, this is flatten image to preserve appearance, that it is not checked. So WRGB 1998, that is not checked. When I hit OK, all of my layers stay there. So worthwhile just throwing an eyeball on your layers palette after you do that conversion, making sure that you haven't screwed anything up. These will all get saved as new files, as PSDs. Right. One thing to note, I saw this maybe once or twice. When you go to save your image, PSD, name it however I'm telling you to name it, make sure that the color profile is embedded and that layers are included. Those checkboxes should be there by default. There's no reason to uncheck them ever, but make sure that those two are checked. Otherwise, your thing will pop up and be bad and wrong, and that's not good. Okay, that is assignment 3.5. That's what you got to do for next week. Pull up here. So make sure you look at the handout number 7 and look at that. Next week we'll have a quiz looking at that, talking a little bit more about layer renaming, and we will start using some brushes. If you have a Wacom tablet, if you happen to have it, next week plug it in and have it ready to go, and we'll use those a little bit. If you don't, we will try to muddle through using our regular old touchpad or mouse or whatever. So, all right.